right, welcome back. Let's roll out to D.C. and bring in Delano Squires. Delano, I have a great topic for us. Cori Bush and Ilhan Omar both have no idea what Memorial Day is. I'm not really that surprised. Here's Cori Bush. She tweeted out, "This Memorial Day and every day, we honor our veterans in St. Louis. We must invest in universal health care, affordable housing, comprehensive mental health services, and educational and economic opportunities for our veterans as we work to build a world free of war and violence." Ilhan Omar chimed in, "On Memorial Day, we honor the heroic men and women who served our country. We owe them more than our gratitude. They have more than earned access to quality mental health services, job opportunities, housing assistance, and the benefits they were promised." So the reason why I find this interesting, particularly for Cori Bush, they don't know our history. They pervert our history. They're holding high political offices without understanding what this country is, what its traditions are, but particularly as it relates to Cori Bush, last year, I believe, I walked everyone through Memorial Day was actually started by black people to honor the people that died during the Civil War. And I made this argument a year ago and walked people through the history. It's like, we didn't need Juneteenth. Black people started Memorial Day. This is documented history that everyone once knew. But these guys, these elected officials, particularly Ilhan Omar, she's not from America. Cori Bush, a miseducated American. But I just find this troubling and disturbing that we have so little connection to our own history. I'm here speaking specifically about Cori Bush, that we all think we have to reinvent, remake, redo history in order to properly honor black people rather than just understanding our true history. We started Memorial Day. We have no idea what it's about. And now we've started something called Juneteenth as a national, it's a great little Texas holiday, but not a national holiday. But your thoughts on Omar and Bush not knowing anything really about Memorial Day?
Well, I wasn't particularly surprised because honestly, I think they are probably more representative of the average American than we would like to acknowledge. I think a lot of people tend to conflate Memorial Day with Veterans Day. I saw one person, a conservative personality, saying, "Look, Memorial Day is not a day to thank first responders. It's not a day to thank policemen and firemen and people who served in the military. It's specifically about those who lost their life fighting for this country." And I don't think that that's something that's sort of recognized or appreciated sort of across the board. I think for the average person, Memorial Day has something to do with people who were in the military, and it's the unofficial start of summer. The fact that these are elected officials, obviously we hold them to a higher standard, but I'm not particularly surprised that they, sort of fell into this particular, I don't want to call it a trap, but I'm not surprised that they were just as ignorant as many other people are to what the holiday is, let alone the history that you sort of brought up last year and are alluding to right now.
For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And when I say only, trust me, they're the only one. Founder Glenn Story and his team have been great supporters of this show, which is why I am proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending the message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, Second Amendment, and our military veterans and first responders. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes switching easy. So easy, I did it. I kept my number, you can keep your phone, or you can upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code JASON. Join me, make the switch today, patriotmobile.com/Jason. That's patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT. So, okay, not surprised, and I do think that is fair for most people to have a casual understanding. Memorial Day, Veterans Day, I could see how a casual person and a casual understanding could lead to that. But if you're going to use it to argue a political agenda or political policies, hey, we don't take care of these dead people that died in war. We don't offer them the jobs that we promised dead people. That just rises to another level. If my mailman doesn't know what Memorial Day is about, I got no problem with it. But my political people that are suggesting policies and arguing policies, I do have the right to expect them to know what they're talking about.
And I would agree with that. And actually, I think, to me, what's more egregious than them mixing up the holidays is the naked way in which they basically use Memorial Day as a platform for them to promote all the stuff that they would do regardless of what day it is. I mean, they'll do the same thing on June 1st. They'll say, oh, you know, as we begin Pride Month, we think of all the LGBTQIA 2S plus Americans who don't have access to gender affirming care and so on and so on and so forth. So to me, what's more egregious is, again, the naked way in which they will use anything, any symbol, any holiday, any current event, any high-profile death or act of abuse to push and further their agenda. And you're right. I mean, I do think it's one thing, for lay people to not know what things are. But again, for our elected officials, we hold them to a higher standard. That being said, I think the quality of elected official that we have today is one reason why every person, whether they identify as a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, Conservative, Progressive, should want the elected officials in Washington, D.C. to have as little control over our lives as possible. When I see the types of things that they do and say and prioritize on a daily basis, fighting over fake eyelashes and bleach blonde, butch built body and all sorts of other nonsense, I'm like, I don't want these people being anywhere near anything that is near and dear to me. So I think this is the quality of elected official that Americans have today on every level of government should make everybody a small government, conservative. Even if you are sort of liberal in your beliefs, these are not the type of people you want running anything that is important to you.
So Delano, I'm asking for a reason, but isn't there something called FBA or Foundational Black Americans or whatever? And are you allegedly you're not part of that group because don't you have to? You got to have ancestors that were American slaves to be part of that, correct?
Yeah, correct. FBA or ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, basically is a fancy way of saying, Black Americans. Yes. Got you.
And so I want your reaction as someone I don't think this would affect your parents. But I think I saw either Candace Owens or other people that tweeted out that like, hey, look, these dual citizens or these people that were born in other countries, and I'm specifically talking about Ilhan Omar, should they be allowed to hold political office in America? I just wanted, as a non-FBA, since you ain't really one of us, and I'm saying that jokingly. Right. But what do you think about, should someone born in another country, should they be able to, again, I think they can't be the president, but they can get these lower political offices. Again, I'm a bit of a layman politically, but what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's a good question. I start with some foundational principles, right? First one being that the citizens of any particular nation, of a sovereign nation, should be the ones that decide how that nation is governed. It shouldn't be foreign nationals. It shouldn't be hopeful immigrants. And I don't care whether they are from the Caribbean, from West Africa, from Europe, or South America. So I don't see it as one of those things where somebody should be able to come from this country and demand things and act with a sense of entitlement. That being said, I mean, the laws of the land are what they are. Now, if people want to change them, there's certainly a process to do that. I personally wouldn't have a problem with that per se. But I think one of the easiest things to do for all people, regardless of race, religion, ethnic background, is to become aware of our failures and look to other groups to scapegoat to explain why we are not where we thought we would be. It's easy to do that with immigrants. It's easy to do that with a whole number of different groups. That doesn't mean, again, legitimate issues aren't being raised, but for every, Ilhan Omar, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was governor of California. And then for every one of those people, you have 16 American-born, legislators, or 20 or 50, who are also, running the country off the tracks. So I don't think a person's, where they were born necessarily is going to relate to how they govern. That being said, I think the people who should be the most grateful, and I say that as a child of immigrants, are people who are allowed to come into this country, particularly if they came as adults. And I believe Ilhan Omar's story is that she was rescued from some, camp in Kenya or Somalia or wherever her family is from. And to me, that type of person should be the most pro-American. And the fact of the matter is, Jason, many immigrants are very much pro-American. And in fact, one of the things that you see, particularly on some of the issues we talk about, around sort of the alphabet mafia, is not too far from where I'm taping right now, in Montgomery County, Maryland. You have a school district that wants to make it harder or prohibit families from being able to opt out their kids from LGBT instruction in school. And when you looked at the dueling sort of protests or rallies around this, the families that wanted to be able to exercise that choice were largely immigrant families from West and Central and even sort of East Africa, right? So these are folks from Ethiopia or other parts of the continent. And the people who were pushing this to say, no, your kids must submit to the gods of pride were largely white, suburban, leftist, progressive women. So the notion that you can tell a person's political ideology based on where they were born is not one that I think we should put a lot of stock into. But that being said, when people come here who are invited here, who want to destroy the place that has given them freedoms, those are the type of people that I have no problem telling them to go back to their country.
D, thank you so much. We'll see you later this week.
Thank you, Jason.
See you this weekend in Roll Call.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.